pen and the keyboard. She was not so crazy about the mic until she joined Toastmasters 3.5 years ago. She has now fallen in love with public speaking. An advanced speaker and a member of 2 Toastmasters clubs, Anne now considers herself a Toastaholic. Anne is doing a 30-minute presentation from the Toastmasters Successful Club series. The presentation title is From Speaker to Trainer. Please join me in welcoming Anne to the lectern.
Thank you, Matthew. How are we doing this evening? Right? Good. We get excited in Toastmasters, so we need to, and this is going to be an interactive section. Who is a trainer in the room? I think you say you were.
Educator.
Yeah, so that makes you a trainer. Oh. Yes. Alrighty, so we're going to be talking about, this is not a typical speech session. Well, and you are also one. So this is not a typical speech section that I'm doing today. This is actually a presentation, just like Mark said. And we all know Toastmaster is known more for public speaking, how to sharpen your communication skills. But one thing you get to learn about Toastmaster is it is actually more of leadership skills, and part of which is training. Part of my job as a quality manager is training. And Toastmaster helped me a great deal to become a trainer. And I was quick to choose this presentation because you have options. When you get to the level that I'm getting to now, I'm trying to become like Fred, who is a distinguished Toastmasters. So you will now present so much speech and so much manuals to choose from. I deliberately chose the speaker to trainer manual because at the end of the day, if you work in corporate America and you get to management level, you get to train other people, and this will help you immensely. So the reason why Toastmasters designed this is for us as speakers to be able to train other people to become trainers. If you look around too, if you ever check maybe YouTube or elsewhere, they have where they say training the trainers. They're actually referring to you as a speaker. It's under Toastmasters. You as a speaker being able to train other people to train. At the end of the day, many a time people think because you're a speaker, you should be able to train. But the truth is, speaking and training are 2 different things. They're not the same. They're different in a lot of ways. But I'm going to be mentioning some of them. As a speaker, what we do is we inform, we persuade, and even entertain sometimes, depending on the kind of speech that you're giving. As a trainer, you are training to change behavior in people. If you have students in class, you're training them for the purpose of achieving results in how they change their attitude towards something. So you do this through interactions. And speakers, when we speak, it's usually a one-way stream. I'm the only one speaking right now. Many a time when speakers speak, we just listen. We could smile, do other things, but we really don't have interactive sessions with some speakers. With a trainer, it's usually a 2-way interaction. You ask questions when you train. Do you understand what I'm saying? How do you feel about this? So it becomes an interactive section. The method for speakers, the method is usually what I'm going to get from this as a speaker. What I'm going to tell them. It's all about me as a speaker most of the time. What I want them to know, what I want to tell them, the story I want to tell. So the focus is on you as a speaker. But as a trainer, the determination is on you finding out what they already know and how you can fill the gap. Then the tools that both uses as a speaker, you use humor, you use anecdotes, you use vocabulary. But as a trainer, there's a lot to it. You lecture most of the time. You have role plays, you exercise, you talk about case studies, how it has happened somewhere before, you demonstrate with different things. You have visual aids, in this case we have PowerPoints, there's a question and answer section, and it goes on and on like that. These are just some of them. And it gets to the point as a speaker, the audience evaluates you outright by giving you applause. People clap when you really tell a good story. Oh, that was a good speech she gave or he gave right there. But as a trainer, it is the behavior that determines if your students or your participants actually understand what you just trained about. How they feel, how they can tell you, oh, what? I think I understand that. Wow, now I get it. Oh, this just dawned on me. So it is from their behavior, how they're changing towards the situation that you just explained or just trained about that makes you, is the feedback that you get to know this is what I just trained about and this person understands now. That is how you get your feedback. So these are some of the differences between speakers and trainers. You guys understand what I'm talking about?
Yes.
Okay, for those who are speakers, we know there's always a difference. There are many speakers out there who are great. Fred is one of them. Some of our seasoned speakers here are some of them. But I tell you, it's not everybody that can actually train. Training takes techniques, it takes strategy, you have to understand, you have to plan for it. So the teachers in the room know what I'm talking about. You have to prepare for it like you're a student as well. And another thing which I didn't have here is the ability to understand where the students and participants are coming from. And you have to do that by having a warm-up session when you first begin. I'm not doing that today because I am actually not training for that purpose. I'm trying to explain the process of becoming a trainer even when you're already a speaker. Alrighty, this thing, we don't have a remote for this, so I'm having to move this. It's actually time. And the course objectives for this purpose of this training is for us to understand how to gather course objectives. When you're going to train a class, you have to have course objectives. And as a trainer, first thing you want to do is to find out where the students or the participants really need help. And you use what they call the gap analysis. Who understand what gap analysis is all about? Okay, good. Gap analysis, we're going to dwell more on it. So you're going to use that to understand where they are and how you can fill the vacuum. Then you create a lesson plan based on adult learning theories. Do we understand what adult learning theories is? You are not teaching babies, you're not teaching kids. So when you train in such a way that the the participants have an opportunity to also contribute, maybe from their experiences. When I did my MBA, one thing that the program opened my eyes to was the fact that MBA is not for babies. If you're just graduating from college, and you can do masters, but MBA is not what you just jump into because it takes a lot, especially when it comes to the core management programs. The kind of things that is expected from people who really have been in the corporate world for a while and you have experiences. So if you're a trainer, you train like you're really training adults who probably know more than you do when it comes to life experiences. So you use that to train with examples. So while you're training, you are also gathering information from your participants or from your students. You're learning from them even as much as you're imparting knowledge. You also have to choose the right training methods. There are different training methods out there. And the best way to do that is for you to understand the class that you're training. The people that are in your training, you have to understand, which is why you have to start with a gap analysis to know where they are, where you can come in. So that will help you eventually to choose the right methods. Apply facilitative techniques. What you're doing is, again, we're not talking to children or babies here. You are the facilitator, and what you're doing is trying to help smoothen the edges. You could do facilitating techniques in group, in small group. If we have a class that's bigger than this, you can have small groups where people rub minds. You have maybe all those sections where people share ideas. At the end of the day, you have you as a facilitator will now bring ideas together and just smoothing things through. Evaluate your programs. Whether you're as a trainer, the best way to evaluate what you're teaching or training about is to ask questions. Each and every one of your participants, you ask if they understand what you just thought about, or what do they think, how can they apply it. Whichever way, whatever answer or response they give you tells you if they truly understand what you just trained on, or if they need more help. Is there anyone in the room that has something to add to what I just talked about? Does it sound familiar?
It does.
Well,
Just
Marie?
wanted to say that.
Yes, ma'am.
You're correct about the adult learning processes or theories. Adults learn differently than what they did when they were children. Because I just recently finished my MBA as well. And I couldn't quite rely on the way I learned as a child. So I can quite understand the way, because things are moving much faster in the MBA program. And so you really can't rely on how you learned as a child. I think adults now are more visual. Of course, there was a lot of reading, but adults are more visual and more hands-on learning. You have to just treat adults much differently.
That is so true. I appreciate your contribution. Thank you. Alrighty, let's go back to gap analysis to determine your objectives. I saw hands up. Some of us definitely know what gap analysis is. It helps us as a trainer to determine the level of experience or education, whatever thing, the level the class or your participants, what level they are, and the level what you can bring in to bridge the gap or to fill the vacuum. So you have current skill level versus required skill level, where they currently are. Say for instance, we have an officer who is a sergeant at arms. The sergeant at arms in Toastmaster is somebody who gets the room ready before the meeting begins, this setup and all of that. But there's much more to that. So maybe that's my own understanding of who sergeant at arms is. So that is my current skill level as it relates to sergeant at arms. So if Amy was training and Amy said, oh, and okay, what do you know about sergeant at arms? And I just gave my response, oh, they make sure everything is ready before we come in, they have everything all set up. Amy may go for that, so that's good, at least you understand that that's part of their duties. But it takes much more than that to play that role as sergeant at arms. Part of your job as sergeant at arms is to take all the tools, take the materials home and bring them back and set them up. At the end of the day, you also, when we're done with the meeting as a sergeant at arms, you have to take them home. It is important that you are at every meeting. So before you take up that role, you have to understand these are what it takes to be sergeant at arms. So it's not just you coming in here, the stuff already here. When I go here before everybody earlier. For a moment, I wanted to start setting up, and I realized, okay, somebody took them home, and that's the sergeant at arms. So the current skill level that I brought there is knowing part of what it takes to be sergeant at arms. But I don't know all it takes. So as a trainer, I'm going to add the required skill level by explaining all the process. So that is what it means to bridge the gap. So you have to have gap analysis to determine objectives, to know where each student, to know where they are, so you can bridge the gap. Anyone has something to add to that for me? Or do we understand what I just talked about? Do we understand? Please don't be quiet on me, guys.
You're doing great.
Thank you,
We
thank
understand.
you. Okay, good, good. Okay, for trainers, speakers don't go through this process. Speakers don't have to come into the room and want to do your gap analysis. If you're already, you may have, a speaker may come in the room and tell a story that you probably already heard somewhere or you read somewhere. They may decide to make it their own and build on it. Speakers do that all the time. Or they just borrow somebody else's story and just make it their own. They add some things to it. They don't care if I already know it. They just come in the room and just speak. They may even make it more exciting than what you read. So they don't have to understand what it takes or any gap analysis. The second, this is a training model here, gap analysis. You have to create a lesson plan based on adult learning theory that we talked about earlier. You're training people to understand from an aspect of interaction. You're not just speaking to them. You're just not speaking to them and let people doze off and just say, oh my God, just be done and gone. You want to interact, get information from them, make sure they understand, make sure you are learning from their experiences as well. And part of your training model is also to choose training methods. You have to know the best training method for each audience. Again, gap analysis helps you to understand that. And you have to have apply facilitative techniques. We already discussed that. And make sure your program is being evaluated. The good thing about speakers, for those of you who are coming to Toastmasters for the first time or new to Toastmaster, every time we have a speech, somebody has to evaluate us, which is why Fred evaluates my presentation later on. Again, the way a trainer is being evaluated is through the behavioral change of the participants. How did, okay, eventually maybe a test is given. This is how to respond to it. These are from what they're saying, just from what, sorry, I forgot your name. Just from your response earlier, I understand, okay, you really know what I'm talking about. When people can relate to what you're saying, you are actually making impact in your training style. Alrighty, interactive methods. Interactive methods is what I was just almost begging you guys for. Let's talk. Let's not just do this and just watch this movie. It's not a movie. Let's have a conversation. Let's act like we're part of this. As a trainer, sometimes you have to bring it out of your students or your participants. When I train on quality at my job, I do role play. As a quality assurance manager at a call center, we have different clients and we have accounts representatives. What I do when I train new hires or have calibrations with old employees is to have role play, because you may have been with the company for 10, 12 years, really does not mean you understand all the processes in place. What I do is have role play. As a trainer, you become very effective. If you don't want this quiet kind of thing going on, make sure you're having role play and say, okay, I'll be, say for instance, I want to understand if they know what it takes to have good customer service, be a great customer service rep. Okay, I'm going to be calling you, Amy. I'll say, okay, let me call you, Amy, then I'll call. Then now I'm bringing Amy, who was probably doing nothing, shy and all of that, I'm bringing her out of her shell. I could say, oh, John, let's do role play. Or John and Amy have a role play section. That way, it becomes an interactive section. There's somebody back there who feel like Amy is not doing the right thing. Oh, let me do it, and things like that. Now, you're interacting with everyone in the room. You have exercise section. When you train, you can have people jump up and say, okay, let me see how you can turn around and jump, things like that. You have people moving, exercise. Okay, I'm training on how to be a salesman. All right, let's assume you work with AT&T or you're a salesman for AT&T and you have a cable to sell right there at Walmart or Sam's Club. How are you going to interact with somebody who is coming into the store? Then let's have an exercise. Come on. Okay, I'm the customer. Ask me how you're going to chat me up. So that's part of the exercise. In different program, whatever training you always have a way to role play and have exercise section. Then you have case study. Case study, you can refer to a situation that's happened in the past. This is how this happened in the past. This is how the situation was taken care of. Always have a case study as a trainer, something you can refer to, something you can refer them to as part of their homework as well. Again, it could be your training on how to use a service or how to sell a product. Demonstrate the action. Maybe you're trying to sell on, how to use social media. Say, for instance, when I train vice presidents of public relations at one of our TLIs, I demonstrated on how to use social media to publicize your club. As the voice of the club, this is what you should do to project your clubs out there. So you demonstrate different sections. Make sure everyone is participating and sharing their own experiences as you go. And now make sure the participants are also sharing their reaction. What do they think about the process? This role play that we just did, how do you feel about this? And as a trainer, make sure you generalize the situation. Don't ever point and say, oh, John, this is how you should have done it. John may be new or maybe shy. John is not just the outgoing type. Always make sure you're generalizing situation. Make sure you're not pointing out people by calling names and things like that. And again, make sure you're applying all principles to ensure that everyone is partaking in the process of participating. Again, training is about lecturing. You lecture because you are probably the expert in an area that you want to lecture on. But if you must lecture, make sure you don't speak for 15 minutes without having an interactive section, which is why I was asking you guys section. It becomes really, really boring. Especially if you're training for an hour or more. If you're not interacting with people, it becomes very boring. So always have that interactive exercise. Use visuals, like this is PowerPoint now. It doesn't always have to be PowerPoint. You can have flip charts. You can have other means. You can do different kinds of things, handouts, and let people just see that you have different things going on to show this is what is going on here. And ask questions to promote involvement like I've been trying to do for the longest. Alrighty, so do we understand so far on how to transition from being a speaker to a trainer? If you eventually become a Toastmaster, really, you're not just here to speak, but you can also train people. Do we have an idea at least of the process? We do, okay, good. Alrighty, this is a very serious one. In fact, this is a very important one. Training is not very easy. If you're training in the corporate world especially, or even students, training is not very easy. Especially face-to-face training, you're a virtual trainer, so it may not be as disruptive. It could be disruptive too. You have different groups of participants. In a class, you may have somebody who is a talkative. They go trump on you. They have so much to say. They're quick to raise their hand, not because they know it, not because they really understand, they just want to talk. And when you give them the opportunity, they don't know when to stop. You're going to have such people in your class. So you have to be prepared. As a trainer, you're not going to go back and forth with them. You're going to let them speak. Graciously, look for a way to stop them if it doesn't look like they're going to stop, because I'm being timed as it is. We're not going to waste other people's time, allow one person to just keep talking. So graciously, you quietly make a sign and say, oh, wow, yeah, I understand. Oh, that's a good point you raised there, so that they can shut up. You're not going to tell them to shut up, but graciously, you're going to get close to that point where you're telling them to, okay, wrap it up. Oh, wow, I understand, okay. Sometimes they may know what they're saying, and they want to jump the gun and go to a point where you're not even there yet. They want to take you there. You can quietly draw them back and say, oh, that's a good point. you know what, we're going to get to that later, it's coming, so wow, I appreciate you, you know. Then you have some that are very silent. I think they're about the same to me. When a class is too quiet, you feel like, am I really doing something? Like nobody's saying anything. It's very important that could be disruptive as well. Like, oh my God, that person is just hanging in there like they don't care, they don't want to know, they're just silent. You have to also look for a way to make them say something. Then you have the crab. Who know what the crab is? Who can guess?
Grouchy?
Huh?
Grouchy?
Crap, when the presentation just crawls along.
Not talking about the participant now, somebody who is a crab in the class.
Talk about someone who doesn't want to change.
Yeah, maybe they want to act like they're lounging. You tell them 1 minute they straighten up, they fall back. They just act disruptive, like they make it so obvious, like you can't do nothing to me. You know, so you just have to look for a way to graciously ask them to come on now, you know you're more than that, things like that. And you have a know-it-all, they will go Trump on you. Yeah, they just want to speak. They don't care if they're making sense or not, they just want to, yeah, they will go really Trumpy, yeah, they just talk garrulously. They just want to talk. Oh, you did this, you did, okay. I thought we shouldn't do it that way, like, I'm the quality manager. Hello, you are a new hire. At my last job, they didn't do it like that. No, this is not your last job. I never tell them, I never really go crazy with them like that. But you have people like that, they will disrupt your class, acting like they know it all, they want to show off. Maybe they just want to shine with you. But in honesty, they could be acting stupid. You have to help them to say, hey, you're embarrassing yourself right now. I understand, you're okay. Unfortunately, but this is a new program. They may have done it where you're coming from, but this is how it's done here. So there are people you have to continuously just bring back and say, okay, let's get focused now. You have different kinds of disruptive people in class. Do you guys know a different type of disruptive section that you can have as a trainer? Anyone? I need to add to my list. Yes, sir.
Probably somebody whose phone is going off all the time. They're getting up, coming back in, you know,
That's the one.
attending to other business.
Yeah, they want to use the bathroom. That's when they do church on you, start bowing down. So you have all kinds of people. All of a sudden now, we had like 10 minutes before meeting started, you've been sitting down, you didn't have to use the bathroom. Now you want to bow down just so people will notice you. You know, so they go and they'll leave, come back, spend 10 minutes, come back. Again, they want to, oh, their phone is ringing, can I take this? So you just wonder how grown people, sometimes you just want to jump up, like, I wish I could just jump up and give this person a knock on the head, but you cannot do that. So as a trainer, you just have to hold yourself and say, Father, Lord, hold me before I jump on somebody. So you have to be gracious as a trainer, just try and bring everyone together. Then the silent person I want to get back to, when they're silent, it could be because of language barrier. It could be that they really don't understand. It could be just they're just shy. It is your job as a trainer to bring that person out of their shell and ask them a question. Please don't ask them the most difficult question. Ask them a question that you think that they can understand. Maybe a general question that anybody should know. And that way they will say something. Then you can add to it, you know, have a section with them in such a way that people see that they speak. So I hope we don't have more than one person in the class that is silent like that. That doesn't look good. It makes one feel really, really, really bad. And if you're using visual tips, if you're using visuals, these are the tips. Always keep it simple. If you're using PowerPoint, your bullet points shouldn't be like all over the place. You have notes under, people can see it and things like that. Understand your project. Whatever you're going to be speaking on, make sure you already know it. So your PowerPoint will help you. And make your lettering bold. Write in such a way that is bold, or use points that are bold so that people can read from afar. I'm sure you can see